The Premier League is almost done. Man City have won the league, Arsenal have bottled it, and Newcastle are winning the Champions League next year. And it's end of season awards time, baby. And I stumbled across this video from Gary Neville and Carragher on about their end of season awards. So I thought I'd give my 2 cents on it and also add to it. Because I'm going to be honest, there is some shocking knowledge in here from Jamie and Gary. But I want you guys to rank me down below where I stand on ball knowledge. If you like this video, can you please like and subscribe to the channel if you are new? We are so close to 50,000. I want it before my birthday. That's on the 11th of June, so we've got some time. So firstly, we've got manager of the season. Now, Jamie firstly picks Eddie Howe. And I mean, I can see it, to be honest. He's taken a Newcastle team from almost relegation all the way up to 3rd in the league. They're guaranteed Champions League football next season. They've got a good young squad full of great players, such as Bruno Guimaraes, Alexander Isak, who has lit up the Premier League this season. We've also revitalised players like Sean Longstaff. And with the money that Newcastle have got, he's not gone out and spunked a load of money everywhere. He's bought really good quality players such as Nick Pope, Kieran Trippier, Sven Botman. So I don't think it's the worst pick from Jamie, to be honest. But I mean, it's pretty hard to look past Pep Guardiola, and this is probably the first and probably only time I'll ever agree with Gary. But I think Man City this season, especially if they win the FA Cup and the Champions League, you're looking at probably the best ever season from any team ever. I say this Man City team is probably the best Premier League team we've ever seen. And they've also got such a small, tight-knit squad, but they're bringing in some absolute quality in the youth academies, such as Rico Lewis, Cole Palmer, and obviously Phil Foden. They've had a bit of a slow start to the season with losing to like Liverpool and Brentford, and then drawing with Everton at home and away to Nottingham Forest as well. And also, who can forget losing to Manchester United? But they've absolutely battered teams this season. We're talking Liverpool 4-1. We're talking Leipzig 7-0. They beat league leaders Arsenal 4-1, West Ham 3-0, Everton 3-0, Real Madrid 4-0. They're playing some absolutely unbelievable football. They've signed some quality players this year like Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland, who has been absolutely on fire. So I personally have to agree with Gary here. I can't see anyone but Pep Guardiola. Who do you think is manager of the season? Now, next up is player of the season, and both Gary, Jamie, and I'm also going to have to go for Erling Haaland. This season, Haaland has scored 36 goals in 34 games as it is right now, and he's scored 52 goals overall in this campaign already. He's scored back-to-back hat-tricks this season against Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. And he's scored 5 hat-tricks this season, including 5 goals against Leipzig. It's a fact that wherever he goes, he scores goals. But he's transformed this Man City team this year into one that is seriously deadly. And to be honest, if you don't pick Erling Haaland here, you're just being silly. Now, next is young player of the season. Jamie's gone for Bukayo Saka. Gary's gone for Martin Odegaard. Now, the definition of a young player is a bit blurred, but usually it means 23 or under. So you've actually got players like Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, McAllister. Alexander Isak is also under there, and Sven Botman as well. And I know Gary and Jamie have picked 2 Arsenal players, but I'm going for a Manchester City player. I'm going for Erling Haaland because he's still under 23. Now, I can see the argument for Bukayo Saka. I think he's been absolutely unbelievable this year. He's scored 13 goals and got an 11 assists this season for Arsenal, and he's been one of the main players. He's really come into his own this season, and we've seen a different level of Bukayo Saka. He's terrorized every single defender that's come up near him. He's got some crucial goals and also some crucial assists this season as well, in one of Arsenal's best seasons to date. Now, if we're doing players under the age of 21, I would have to go Saka. But as a young player who's defined as 23, it's Haaland for me. But I can see the argument for Martin Odegaard. So I don't think Gary or Jamie have had horrible opinions here. Odegaard has come in this season, has been Arsenal's captain first and foremost. He's scored 15 goals and got 7 assists from midfield. He's shown some neat, tricky footwork this season and has linked up lovely with the likes of Saka and also Martinelli. He's got a shout in there as well. To be honest, that whole front 4 of Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus, I think he's under 23. He might not be, actually. Martinelli and Odegaard, a phenomenal front 4. But he's also Arsenal's captain for a reason. And I think if Erling Haaland wasn't in the league, I'd have probably given it to Odegaard as probably the best player in the league this season. I think he's been phenomenal. But Haaland, what did I say for the best player? He's scored stupid amounts of goals. He's been so good this year. Who do you think has been the Premier League's best young player this year? Now, next is the best signing of the window. Now, Gary and Jamie actually excluded Haaland from this list. And I mean, to be fair, I can understand why. He has been by far the best in everything in pretty much everything that he's done. So I'm actually also going to exclude Haaland from this list. Now, Gary went with Casemiro, and I can see that. Casemiro's coming from Real Madrid to Manchester United and transformed that team. He's been an absolute rock and instilled a winning mentality into that United team. He's also great on the ball, and he's a great leader and probably a cat. He should be captain, really. But there's a reason why Casemiro has won Champions Leagues. I also think Casemiro of late he's had too many red cards. He's been too aggressive, too many cards. So that's why I didn't go Casemiro. Now, Jamie went for Morgan Gibbs-White. And I'll be honest, I have no idea why he's gone for Morgan Gibbs-White. Yeah, he's been good. He's been Forest's probably their best player. But there are also times this season where Forest fans also wanted him out of the club and they hated him. This season, he scored 5 goals and got 7 assists. He is also the penalty taker. Look, Morgan Gibbs-White is a cracking quality young player. I think the way he links up with Brennan Johnson especially is really, really nice. Signing of the season, though, is a little bit out there, Jamie, I'll be honest. I think a bit of recency bias might come into this one. My pick for signing of the season is probably really, really out there and probably didn't even think about him. I've gone for Palhinha from Fulham. Now, I was also debating Zinchenko for Arsenal because I think Zinchenko has absolutely transformed that Arsenal team, and a lot of the attacks come from Zinchenko's side, tucking in and passing the ball. He's got phenomenal progressive passing. You've also got another left back in Pervis Estupiñán who signed for Brighton. Again, who has been an absolutely phenomenal purchase for £15 million. Bombing up and down that wing, he scored some crucial goals. He's got some good assists as well. And the best part about it is they sold Cucurella for 60 million and bought him for 15. I also really like the way he just gets up and down that line. But for me, it's Palhinha. Now, we're used to Fulham coming back up and then going straight back down again. But this season, they have not. And Palhinha has been the key and crucial part of that fight to stay up. They almost look like they're going to get Europe at one point. Anyway, Palhinha signed for £17 million from Sporting. And he has revolutionised that midfield. He's only 27 and he's made more tackles than any other opponent in Europe's top 5 leagues. 10 more than the second best. But Palhinha has been at the heart of everything good that Fulham do. He wins the ball back so much, and he's actually wanted by both Liverpool and Manchester United. I hope Fulham keep on to him because he is a class player. Now, next is the biggest surprise of this season. I know Jamie's, it says Manuel Akanji for the best signing of the season, but that's because he changed his mind literally live on TV for Morgan Gibbs-White, and I would have preferred Akanji, to be honest. Now, Jamie went for Lisandro Martinez as he famously just absolutely shit all over him on live TV. And Gary went for Brighton 1, Everton 5. Now, Jamie had this to say about Lisandro Martinez at the start of the year.
The other problem he's got straight away is the signing of Lisandro Martinez at the back. I'm convinced this can't work because he's the size of a 5'9" playing in a back 4.
But since then, Leacher has been one of the best and most consistent performers in the Premier League. And he's unlucky to not be in the team of the season, to be honest. But there's been some quality centre-backs at the team of the season. But Leacher's not only bringing the quality on the pitch, he also brings in the leadership off the pitch. He's an absolute nut job, don't get me wrong. He is an absolute nutcase. But Leacher has been phenomenal in turning around this Manchester United side. Now, Gary's gone for Brighton and Everton. Now, Everton were like dead last, pretty much gone, relegated. Couldn't really score goals, couldn't really defend, and Brighton is one of the high flyers in the Premier League. So yeah, I could kind of see this as a surprise. Is it the biggest surprise of this season? Probably not. I think there's bigger ones. Well, firstly, Brighton should be a surprise. How well they've done this season to achieve European football, even with losing Graham Potter and getting in De Zerbi, with the rising stars of like Mitoma, Estupiñán, Evan Ferguson, the absolute wonder kid. So I think Gary's gone a little bit, sold himself a little bit short there. I think you could look at Brighton. I think you could look at how poor Chelsea have been as a surprise. After spending £600 million, getting in new managers, spending loads and loads of money, the Bowley era, they're 11th. Bringing in players like Enzo Fernandez as well and Mudryk for like 200 million combined. The expectations were here and they were touching the floor. They were well below the floor. So you could say that's a surprise, and that's probably, I was close going that, I'll be honest. But the biggest surprise for me has actually been Unai Emery and Aston Villa. When Unai Emery took over from Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa, they were in the relegation zone. In the 24 Premier League matches that Unai Emery has taken charge of, he's won 14, drawn 4 and lost 6, with a total of 46 points. Unfortunately, they cannot secure European football this season. But I'm sure if Emery come in a little bit earlier, then they would have secured it. And he's transformed some quality players, like Ollie Watkins has scored loads of goals this season. Emi Martinez has been on absolute fire. Tyrone Mings, who was a donkey before, is amazing. amazing now. Douglas Luiz, Jacob Ramsey, Boubacar Kamara, John McGinn. That team is dangerous, especially under a man like Good Evening. Who do you think has been the biggest surprise this year? Now, my favourite game this year has got to be either Southampton versus Arsenal or Aston Villa versus Arsenal. Carragher obviously went for Liverpool 7, Manchester United 0. And I mean, that's just bias, isn't it? Carragher's a Liverpool legend. He loves Liverpool. Liverpool beating their archest rivals, Manchester United 7-0. Yeah, that game was good. I will admit that game was good, but for a neutral perspective, it was a good match, but wasn't the best because it wasn't so tight. Gary's gone for the World Cup final, and I mean, yeah, it was a cracking game, but it's not related to the Premier League at all. I don't know. Gary is Gary. Let's just say that. But I'm going to go for the Southampton Arsenal 3-3. Now, this game was absolutely phenomenal. Literally in the first minute, Southampton, who were dead last at the bottom, were 1-0 up against the league leaders Arsenal at this point. Within 15 minutes, Southampton, who were bottom of the league, were 2-0 up, with Theo Walcott, old boy, scoring against Arsenal. Gabriel Martinelli pulled one back to make it 2-1 at half-time. But then Coletta Carr scored to make it 3-1. And it looks like Arsenal were dead set to lose. Until the 88th minute, where Martin Odegaard scored 1 to bring it back. And then Bukayo Saka scored in the 90th minute to draw 3-3. Trossard almost scored to make it 4-3, but the electric atmosphere was crazy. The stadium was bouncing, and I must say I could not stop watching the game. I wasn't watching my phone. I was sat solely focused on watching this game because of how good it was. Now, I want to hear what you guys think about these picks. Put them down in the comments below. See if you agree with me more, Jamie, or Gary. Check out this video I made about Luton Town, who might be in the Premier League next year. That would be limbs. But other than that, I hope you have a good, wonderful day, and I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace.